You recording it now?
Okay, so I can cut it. And so did people get a pen and paper? Because what
Nope.
we'll do is we'll have time for questions near the end. I leave it for questions in the end. So I think it's just easier to do it that way if we do it that way because uh your question might get answered in the process. So that's why I say just jot it down and we'll get started. We'll give it like 3 more minutes and I'm all about starting on time. So there's my beautiful Dory. Also, I asked that you hi beautiful. What you in the mountains? I see you're in the mountains today.
This is Greece. Yes, the
Yes.
mountain.
Oh wow. You are in Greece. We are not worthy for sure. Yeah, we can change our background. We can make it. I probably should do like a weight loss is not cookie cutter background or something.
Yes.
I could customize my background for sure. Um, but yeah, I think the best thing to do is just jot them down as we go along. So I will be sharing my screen. It's a whole PowerPoint presentation. In the middle of it, there's like a little 5-minute video that I thought was astonishing that again, don't kill the messenger because it's from a doctor from a TED talk that kind of shows you what sugar does to your brain. And I wanted everyone to kind of see this video because it's only like 5 minutes long. That's why I love like these little, they call them TEDx, where they're small. They're like small videos. So I'll get alerted as people come in and I'll be able to let them in as they come in. Um, yeah, we got 1 more minute. I had about 30 that signed up for it. So, there you go. People coming in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Your
Miss
mom?
Deborah, another. Hi,
Hi.
honey. All right. Dory, do you mind opening us up in prayer?
Wow. I wasn't prepared for that.
A little something.
Oh, let's see. All right. Thank you, Father. Thank you for this wonderful day. Thank you for this wonderful word we're about to hear from Sister Tanima Barr. Uh, Thank you for everything that she's going to say to us today about food and mood. Thank you for everyone who is here tonight. Thank you for their ears being open to hear the message and those that are making their way tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I won't put you on the spot like that again, I promise. All right, so let me share my screen as I there go my sister. Oh my BWV
Mm,
are here. All right,
yeah.
I'm going to share my screen for you. And the cool part about it is that I get to see it on his side so that I can see what it looks like. So, okay, good. I can see it on his side. So, mood and your food, understanding the connection between nutrition and mental health. This is probably something I don't think many of us even think about, or we don't realize that food does have a connection to the mood and how we feel. So tonight, what we're going to talk about, we're going to do some vital connections between what we eat and how we feel. And we'll talk about first, we're going to deal with the negative side of food, like certain foods that negatively affect us. And of course, I'm going to make sure we deal with the foods that boost our mood. So this is a class that is offered by Weight Loss is Not Cookie Cutter. If you go to the website, there's a section that says events. And what we've decided to do collectively, after talking to the hubby, we've basically decided that every month these classes are going to be free.
Oh, wow.
They're going to be free every month. There's not going to be any more charges for classes because I rather get the information out there and then potentially get a client instead of charging people for information. And this might be something vital that they need. So going forward, the classes will definitely be free. It will not be a charge. And next month, just to give you a heads up, next month we will be dealing with PCOS and menopause and food. And that's going to be a real big thing to talk about because that affects a lot of people. So this class is going to provide you practical insights and actionable strategies to help harness the power of, oh, let me move this out my way because I can't see. Okay. Couldn't see. The power of food to improve your mental and emotional health. So how can food affect our mood? What most people do not know is that your brain and your stomach works together. This is so important. The stomach is often called the second brain. It's the GI tract that holds billions of bacteria that influence the production of dopamine. We don't really connect dopamine and serotonin. When you eat, it affects the structure and the function of your brain and your mood. This is why sometimes you'll hear people say they take a probiotic and they take a prebiotic. They take these different things to kind of keep the balance. But what people don't understand in a lot of cases, you could take a pre and a probiotic all you want. If you're still eating the wrong foods, it's not going to help. It's still going to affect what's going on. So you want to, but we're going to get into that. So let's just talk about one thing first, is serotonin. And what is serotonin? So serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate sleep, appetite, mediate moods, inhibit pain. Since about 95% of your serotonin is produced in the gastrointestinal tract in your stomach, and it's lined with 100 million nerve cells, neurons, it makes sense that the inner workings of your digestive system don't just help you digest food, but it guides all your emotions. So a lot of times insomnia, people don't realize that a lot of times the insomnia that they're suffering from could be the food that they're eating. So then we talk about dopamine. I don't know, a lot of people may have heard about dopamine. It's like the happy feel. So in dopamine, what dopamine does, food plays a significant role in influencing your dopamine levels. As certain nutrients and compounds found in food, what can happen, it can affect your mood directly or indirectly. So the production that releases the dopamine in the brain. Hold on, I'm just admitting people at the same time. In the brain, regular physical activity paired with a healthy diet also plays a crucial role in boosting the dopamine levels naturally. Exercise helps improve the mood, the blood flow, to help the brain and stimulate the dopamine releases from further enhancing your mood and your mental health. So you ever hear, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but a lot of times what will happen is people will say if you exercise, it'll actually improve your mood. And that's actually true because your dopamine, the more you work out, the more you walk or move around consistently, your dopamine levels actually increase. So this is something that you definitely want to consider when you're in a position of increasing your dopamine. And it really, the food does sometimes play a part in that, but you want to make sure that you're getting the exercise in to increase those dopamine levels to keep you in a good mood. So what I want to show you real quick, as I had mentioned this before, is, oops, why is my, computer stuck? Hold on. My computer just, oh shoot, that quick. Okay, here is, I had talked to you earlier. Just watch this little video. It's just like 5 minutes long. I need y'all to see what this little TEDx talks about because we're going to get into a deep discussion of sugar and mental and what it does to your mood and your mental health. So check this out.
Picture warm, gooey cookies, crunchy candies, velvety cakes, waffle cones piled high with ice cream. Is your mouth watering? Are you craving dessert? Why? What happens in the brain that makes sugary food so hard to resist? Sugar is a general term used to describe a class of molecules called carbohydrates, and it's found in a wide variety of food and drink. Just check the labels on sweet products you buy. Glucose, fructose, sucrose, maltose, lactose, dextrose, and starch are all forms of sugar. So are high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice, raw sugar, and honey. And sugar isn't just in candies and desserts. It's also added to tomato sauce, yogurt, dried fruit, flavored waters, or granola bars. Since sugar is everywhere, it's important to understand how it affects the brain. What happens when sugar hits your tongue? And does eating a little bit of sugar make you crave more? You take a bite of cereal. The sugars it contains activate the sweet taste receptors, part of the taste buds on the tongue. These receptors send a signal up to the brainstem, and from there it forks off into many areas of the forebrain, one of which is the cerebral cortex. Different sections of the cerebral cortex process different tastes: bitter, salty, umami, and in our case, sweet. From here, the signal activates the brain's reward system. This reward system is a series of electrical and chemical pathways across several different regions of the brain. It's a complicated network, but it helps answer a single subconscious question. Should I do that again? That warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you taste grandma's chocolate cake? That's your reward system saying, yes. And it's not just activated by food. Socializing, sexual behavior, and drugs are just a few examples of things and experiences that also activate the reward system. But overactivating this reward system kickstarts a series of unfortunate events: loss of control, craving, and increased tolerance to sugar. Let's get back to our bite of cereal. It travels down into your stomach and eventually into your gut. And guess what? There are sugar receptors here too. They're not taste buds, but they do send signals telling your brain that you're full, or that your body should produce more insulin to deal with the extra sugar you're eating. The major currency of our reward system is dopamine, an important chemical or neurotransmitter. There are many dopamine receptors in the forebrain, but they're not evenly distributed. Certain areas contain dense clusters of receptors, and these dopamine hotspots are a part of our reward system. Drugs like alcohol, nicotine, or heroin send dopamine into overdrive, leading some people to constantly seek that high. In other words, to be addicted. Sugar also causes dopamine to be released, though not as violently as drugs. And sugar is rare among dopamine-inducing foods. Broccoli, for example, has no effect, which probably explains why it's so hard to get kids to eat their veggies. Speaking of healthy foods, let's say you're hungry and decide to eat a balanced meal. You do, and dopamine levels spike in the reward system hotspots. But if you eat that same dish many days in a row, dopamine levels will spike less and less, eventually leveling out. That's because when it comes to food, the brain evolved to pay special attention to new or different tastes. Why? 2 reasons. First, to detect food that's gone bad. And second, because the more variety we have in our diet, the more likely we are to get all the nutrients we need. To keep that variety up, we need to be able to recognize a new food, and more importantly, we need to want to keep eating new foods. And that's why the dopamine levels off when a food becomes boring. Now back to that meal. What happens if in place of the healthy, balanced dish, you eat sugar-rich food instead? If you rarely eat sugar, or don't eat much at a time, the effect is similar to that of the balanced meal. But if you eat too much, the dopamine response does not level out. In other words, eating lots of sugar will continue to feel rewarding. In this way, sugar behaves a little bit like a drug. It's one reason people seem to be hooked on sugary foods. So think back to all those different kinds of sugar. Each one is unique, but every time any sugar is consumed, it kickstarts a domino effect in the brain that sparks a rewarding feeling. Too much too often, and things can go into overdrive. So yes, overconsumption of sugar can have addictive effects on the brain. But a wedge of cake once in a while won't hurt you.
I always say I don't like that word moderation. I oh, I just want to come out of this. Okay. My computer keeps freezing.
Hi, T.
Hello. Oh, okay, here we go. All
It's
right.
Gail.
Hi, Gail. Okay. So after watching that video, one of the things that seems to be a common like suggestion is everybody talks about moderation, right? Oh, have sugar in moderation. Most of us don't even know what that is.
Right.
We have
Anything in
no.
moderation.
Oh, can you please put your cell phone mute for me, please?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So most of us don't. Like we just don't know what that moderation is. So I always say, like, if you're in a position where you are at the process of trying to lose weight or trying to get your sugar under control and different things like that, just don't do it for right now. Just nix it out because we could be like, oh yeah, Snickers a day, it's fine when we used to eat five, like I don't know, like or six sodas versus two, like eliminate the soda altogether. Like so what happens to our mood when sugar is consumed? So sugar, particularly in large quantities or when consumed frequently, has been linked to a variety of mood changes and mental health effects in both children and adults. And this really disturbed me because when we look at mood swings, we talk about, those up and down feelings that sometimes we don't know why we feel that way. I'm gonna tell you, mood swings is not actually something that a lot of people recognize. I mean, maybe some people do, but sometimes people really do not recognize that they're like having a mood swing. Sometimes they just be like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today, but realizing that there could be something that's imbalancing that. Irritability, like if you ever notice that you can have this happen with caffeine too. You can have a caffeine crash as well as a sugar crash where you consumed maybe a breakfast or something that had some type of high carbohydrate in it, and then you experience a crash in the a few hours later, and you're angry, you're irritable. Somebody just said, can I just get a paper clip? And you're like screaming because they just asked for a paper clip. So it's like having those reactions to things that could possibly cause you the issue. And the other big thing is anxiety. Anxiety is big when it comes down to sugar. So high sugar consumption has been linked to increased anxiety. This is particularly due to the sugar's impact on blood glucose levels, which can cause feeling of shakiness, nervousness, raising heart rate, and this is all symptoms of the body just trying to regulate its sugar levels. So one of the biggest things I suggest to people, even if you're not diabetic, I highly suggest to people that they get some type of glucose monitoring. And what I mean is one that you can actually put in your arm. I do know a company called Hexacom. I believe you do not require a prescription for it. They're pretty expensive, but if you have some medical care, your insurances will cover it to a certain extent. Like in my particular case, because I'm not diabetic, Blue Cross Blue Shield said, oh, we'll help you out a little bit. So they paid a portion of my Libre. Like I don't have one on right now, but I wear the Libre and I wear the Libre 3, which is a consistent blood glucose monitoring. It just helps with you eating better. Because what you want to see is what people don't realize is when they see this in their glucose monitoring, that's bad. You really want to see just a consistent line where your body is not going through all of this process, this feeling of shakiness, nervousness, racing heart rate, racing heart, because the body's trying to figure out to come down from what you just ate. Then the other thing too is stress and cortisol. Excessive sugar intake can lead to increased cortisol levels in the body. We'll see this in a lot of cases in our stomach. This is where we see high cortisol levels, high sugar levels is in our stomach. And unfortunately, that's the first place it goes to, or a lot of us, it goes to our hips. But either way, it don't go where we want it to go. Never goes where we want to go. The next thing that it is linked to is high sugar consumption is definitely linked to depression. Particularly in time, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because if we are in a sad state and we're getting to a depressive state, we eat. A lot of us. There's very few, but there are some people that don't eat. They're the opposite. But that depressive state sometimes can happen when we're choosing to eat, whether it's eating literally a half a gallon of ice cream, right? Because we're sad and we eat. That's a huge amount of consumption of sugar. Right. In my particular case, I think I said that at the meeting where I literally, if anyone's familiar with Krispy Kreme, I ate a half a dozen of Krispy Kreme hot off of that conveyor belt. It's the best meal I ever had in my entire life. But it's the worst thing that you could ever do, because what ended up happening is that crash is serious. That crash is the worst. So you have to be really careful when the body is consistently being put through these ups and downs, which builds insulin resistance. And that, my friends, is a major problem. So the other thing that will have happen is we've all heard of like the hyperactivity, right? And it's in our children. And boy, oh boy, there's so many, you'll see in a later slide, so much research showing that the ADHD, my God, it's being tied to so many things. And studies are even being shown that parents that are making these tweaks in their kids' diets, it's making a huge, huge difference. So the next thing on here, you'll see euphoria and pleasure. Again, a short-term gift, I guess I can say, that's coming from sugar, of what sugar is stimulating. And then because it's addictive, right? The dopamine goes up, we're happy of how we're feeling, just like any other drug, really. You want more because you want to feel the same satisfaction. And I tell you, where you see this significantly, watch My 600-Pound Life. Those people have such an addiction to the dopamine feeling of the food. If you just listen to how they describe their next meal, you can really get that it's addictive. Like, you really are seeing that, man, it's deeper than them being in a state of where they got abused. Like, because 95, I did a whole study on 5 seasons of My 600-Pound Life. 95% of them have had some type of abuse. 85% of them were molested. So the other like little 10% was actual physical abuse. But the molestation, they felt if they destroyed their bodies, it would not make them attractive to their predator. So this is what they've done. But then they have to now deal with the mental and the addictive portion of that. But this is what they do. They just stay in this addictive behavior. Then if you ever find yourself in a position of lack of, you can't focus, your cognitive function, like you can't comprehend things or whatever, start thinking about what's the last thing you ate. Because usually in your lack of focus can be as your sugar high wears off, your brain is now getting brain fog. Because again, it's going through that process of trying to understand what it's doing. And then they talk about the addictive behaviors, sugar addiction. I said this at the book release party. It really drives me nuts that this is not in the DSM-5. If anybody is familiar with the DSM-5, it's the book for psychologists and psychologists to psychology to look up the symptoms and things of addictive behaviors. Food addiction is not in there. I don't understand how food addiction cannot be a part of the DSM-5. it should be, and it's not. So when we see people, if you ever like take an inventory, some individuals can exhibit some sugar addiction, and the symptoms are irritability, low mood, restlessness, especially when sugar is not available. We see this a lot of times in the house. Me and hubby have done this. It's 9 o'clock and we want a snack. And that snack is not some cucumbers, okay? It is chips. It is something of a carbohydrate that the brain is looking to fulfill to get that dopamine feeling. So we want to look at all of that and just look at like what it's doing. When we talk about restlessness and difficulty sleeping, consuming large amounts of sugar, especially close to bedtime, can interfere with sleep. So do not do it. Do not eat anything that would rev you up, that sugar, caffeine, or anything. Anger and frustration, again, when you're going like this, your mood is going to go like this. The food you eating is going to make you go like this and go like that. And then what I've noticed too is that when I choose to like cut the carbs really like to nothing, I get a headache really bad. Because that again is a sign of your body trying to detox from what the withdrawal from what you were eating to not eating anymore. So comfort and emotional eating, again, we turn to carbs. I don't know anybody that's turning to cucumbers and tomatoes as, oh my God, I need some comfort. I'm going to cut up a cucumber and some tomatoes. Nobody's doing that.
Grapes.
Nobody's doing that. Nobody's grabbing grapes and apples. No, I need the chocolate cake that's left over. Like, that's what we do.
Ice cream.
Yeah, it's ice cream, anything, cake. So this is what I tell people. Get it out your house. It's going to make you at least control your home. That's what I always say. At least control your home.
And your car.
And well, yeah, I guess in the car too. Social and anxiety withdrawal. Again, it's the same thing. It's related to, the sugar consumption, how it's related to the mood swings, difficulty concentrating. Again, it's like, I don't know, just after all of this, sugar is just really bad. Like it is. It's like what it does to us, that chemical is just really not the best. Because we just talked about it, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorders. This is even worse. Now, here is on the side of the mental disorders that it does. And I just want to run through these. We just talked about depression, but we talk about anxiety. We did bipolar. That's what I wanted to talk. The rapid changes in blood sugar levels associated with high sugar intake can trigger and exacerbate somebody with bipolarism, and it makes it difficult for them to manage their symptoms. And that is from sugar. Attention deficit disorder. Here we go again. High sugar intake has been associated with an increase in hyperactivity and impulsivity in children with ADHD. But what's crazy about that is that the ADHD has been associated with the sugar. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like kids are getting diagnosed with ADHD, but the ADHD is coming from the food in which they're consuming.
No.
And then they're just saying, oh, it's ADHD. And the sad part about it is that the school systems and things out there, they're just diagnosing children, but they're not turning around and saying, hey, these are the diets that you need to consider or foods you need to start eliminating to see if some things change. The other thing too is schizophrenia. Excessive sugar intake can worsen cognitive deficits and mood disturbances associated with schizophrenia. Blood sugar instability and inflammation can actually negatively impact the brain. And we don't think about that, like in that particular case. In the metabolic health, and we talked about just how sugar just changes all of that. I did not know about this. I thought OCD was something totally different. Like I thought people with OCD just have OCD, but they're saying that some people's OCD tendencies can actually be linked to sugar.
Hmm.
I did not know that. And dementia and cognitive behaviors, dementia again is also being associated with sugar. I don't know what good is sugar then. Like if it's doing all of this,
It's nothing,
It's-
especially the fake ones.
yeah, I don't know.
Fructose and all that junk.
Yeah. So wait, before I get into that one. So what they're saying here, so here's a few tips for you. If you can, start reducing your sugar intake. And that's easier said than done for some of us, especially if we're coffee drinkers and we use sugar in the coffee. Consider using something called monk fruit. It's a little bit more expensive, but monk fruit, I have to say, is probably one of the sweetest ones I've seen out there. And Truvia is also, and if you want a little treat, take a packet of Truvia on some strawberries and you would swear you were eating candy. And it's a zero glucose impact and it's really, really good. But I tell you, the biggest taste adjustment will happen when people like me, I was a sweet and low and equal user for years. Like, and I'm still trying to transition out of it. So I try to just stay away from it and only use it like once a day versus I was using it multiple times a day. So you want to think about that.
Eating yourself.
Yeah. And also you want to make sure we got to get into to help our mood with our food. So we got to talk about the probiotics and the prebiotics. You should be trying to get those in on a daily basis. That's going to help those billions of migrams that are in there that help stabilize things. And this will be funny, like I don't know if anyone has ever heard of fermented vegetables. Have you seen those? Do you know what we mean by that? They come in a jar. They are actually the best things for your stomach. They I love them. They're like vinegary a little bit, but they taste amazing. That's not everybody likes that though. And you want to just start practicing mindful eating. So when we get into this next section, don't hate the messenger, okay? Because this is bad. We have to talk about artificial food coloring. This blew my mind. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad. So artificial food dyes such as red dye number 40 and other synthetic colorants can impact the brain and mental health in several different ways. These effects are primarily due to the chemical composition of these dyes, which can influence behavior, mood, neurological function, especially in sensitivity in individuals such as children. So what I did not know was that I did not know that there was two number reds, one number and one blue, and I believe there's actually two yellows. And then obviously they use combinations, synthetic combinations to make certain colors, which is even worse. And these food dyes have been associated with certain mental concerns, particularly in children. And how about this? We are the only country that allows them. Other countries do not allow some of these colors because they have been associated with terrible mental effects on the mental side of things because of what they're doing. So there's mood changes, again, that cognitive behavior impairment. There was studies done that showed that food dyes impaired children's cognitive behaviors. There was also studies done on red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6 have been shown to cause ADHD. And do you know how much I see kids eating them snacks early in the morning on their way to school? So this evidence, like there's still more studies to be done. So let's look at each individual color. So red dye in the mental health, you found, so red dye, oh, look, I can't even see it on this. Red dye is found in candy, soda, snacks, children's medication, and much more. Red dye has been linked to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, not just in children, but in adults too. It has been linked to adult ADHD. This dye can disrupt normal neurotransmitter functions, leading to increased impulsivity, difficulty concentrating. Some studies suggest that the red dye number 40 can cause mood swings, irritability, and even aggressive behavior. The artificial compounds may interfere with the brain's chemistry, leading to these changes in behavior. Allergic reactions and inflammation. In some individuals, red dye 40 can trigger allergic reactions or sensitivities, which many manifest as headaches, dizziness, or inflammation. Since inflammation has been linked to mood disorders such as anxiety and depression, this can directly affect the mental well-being. This is disturbing because sometimes we just innocently eat things with these dyes in it, and we think that there's nothing wrong if we just have one of those snack packs of like Doritos. I think Doritos is the one that has a combination of both of them. But here's the thing, there's two different red dyes. There's red dye number 9, which supposedly, are you ready for this? Is banned in the US in food products since 1976. However, it is still permitted in some other countries for limited use for non-food applications. You hear what I said? Other countries use it, but not for food. So it's for other, right? It's for like other products,
Spray paint.
but it ain't for things that we eat. Before it was banned in the US, we used it in beverages, candies, baked goods, you named it. We use number 9.
So it's banned now.
It is banned now in the US. However, health concerns, red number 9 was linked to cancer. It was linked to finally the FDA stepped in and said, okay, this ain't good, because now they're showing that cancer is being linked. So what do? They don't eliminate it. They just say, okay, we're going to make another one. So they make red dye number 40. Now, this chemical, so-called, has now been approved in the US, and it is one of the most used in all synthetic foods. All our candies, beverages, snack foods, cereals, desserts, all use, that number 40, even cosmetics, medications, and any personal care products. So think about it from this perspective. There's a chemical we can actually put on our bodies, but also eat. I'm not sure I'm liking that. So I can eat it and put it on my body. Like no. Some countries require that the products actually let them know that this number 40 is in there. So to me, think about it. If something has to warn you, if something has to tell you it's in there, maybe we just shouldn't eat it. I'm just saying. Despite being approved in many regions, red number 40 is still a subject. See, it's still a subject of debate. They're still trying to figure out if there really is still a cancer connection. They're still trying to figure out if there's still a hyperactivity connection. So the way that you look at this is that, number one, this is when we start talking about being label conscious, about the foods that we're eating. And it's a quick glance. You can even start testing yourself, and you're saying, you can look and say, well, I'm going to eat this and let me see how I feel after eating it. So if you feel like you're having possibly a headache, even itchiness or something like that, this is your body's reaction to that number 5. So you just want to say, yeah, I'm not going to eat that no more. Like, you can't, your body's not reacting too well to it at all. So the next one is yellow. Now, oh, Lord Jesus, Yellow dye has been associated with hyperactivity, particularly in children. Listen to this. Yellow is considered the most damaging of dyes and is the worst of the dye colors. Like red dye 40, it can contribute to mood disturbances, irritability, restlessness, but yellow dye may cause allergic reactions in some people, which can exacerbate symptoms such as migraines and mood changes. Here it is. There are two yellows, yellow number 5 and 6. Foods that have these dyes are pretty much everything, you name it. Every snack has it. You name it. I was just shocked at how much food had that in it. Anything prepackaged, your box mac and cheese, just think about the foods that do not require refrigeration, right? And
You can sit on the shelf forever.
right, but here's the thing that pissed me off. I like mustard. Many of us use mustard. Mustard is number 5. So the impact on this has been mood swings, mood changes, cognitive impairment, sleep disorders, and again, the neurological sensitivity and allergic reactions. I'm like, well, maybe we just can't eat nothing.
You can't sleep.
Right. Then is there the whole thing with the sleep problem? I just want to say something real quick about the yellow. In Europe, due to the concerns about the mental and behavior effects of the yellow number 5 and 6, Europeans said, nope, we're not using it. They don't use it. They don't even want to go through the process of trying to study of whether they can or can't. They just don't use it. Now, the U.S. regulations, both yellow 5 and 6, are approved. They say it's okay for us, but European agencies say, no, we not using it. Now, how does that make sense? Like, I don't get how that makes sense. And here's the thing. I got the list for you. Here are the ones that contain number 5. Chips, crackers, popcorn, tortilla chips, soda, soft drink, fruit drinks, lemonade, and citrus flavored drinks, gummies, jelly beans, Skittles, M&Ms, chewing gum, hard candies, all cereals, granola bars, baked goods, dairy products, ice cream, pudding, cheese flavored products, condiments, mustard, pickles, and relish. You know, the pickled relish, salad dressings, French and Thousand Island, instant foods, instant noodles, instant rice, boxed macaroni and cheese, frozen dinners, Lunchables, jellies and jams, fruit snacks, all have that in it.
You can't eat nothing.
You just can't. Let's
We in trouble.
just all move to Costa Rica and call it a day. I say Costa Rica. If you ever get a chance, look up Costa Rica and why people want to move to Costa Rica.
We are in trouble.
Yeah. So moving on to blue. How about we just talk about blue? It's weird like that. The reactions to it for everybody is all the same. Like it's still the hyperactivity, the ADHD, the mood swings. It's all the same thing. You know what made me think about the blue dye? That snacks, it begins with a C, to tzatziki snack. They come in blue. They come in these bright colors. I'm probably saying it wrong, but I've seen the snacks. It come in blue. So here's what they say about blue. It affects mental health, right? Particularly brilliant blue. Blue is blue. Is there any navy blue food? So there's not been much studies done on blue, but I guess we kind of could put it all in the same category of every other color. Maybe because blue is not used as much. It has been less extensively studied compared to other artificial food dyes like yellow and 5 and 40. However, there's some evidence that suggests blue dyes may also contribute behavior and cognitive issues. Again, back to our kids. And I did still see some studies on adults who have sensitive and synthetic food additives. These blue dyes are commonly used in products aimed at children. Right, so the Blues Clues snacks, All those things are all aimed at children that use this blue artificial coloring. If you are concerned about the sensitivity of blue dyes, you can look at the product labels and look for products that are dye-free. They have cough medicines that are dye-free. They have medication that is dye-free. Those that use natural colorants, look for a spirulina. If you don't know what spirulina is a beautiful blue, and it is so healthy for you. You can juice with spirulina and pineapple. We used to make a pineapple juice that was blue because we put the spirulina in it. And when I tell you, it is amazing. It has some great antioxidants in it. Beet juice. There are things, you'll find natural products that are utilizing beet juice as a colorant, which is great. You're not going to taste the beets, but they're just using that deep red to color it, and blueberry extract to use. So just read your labels and you'll see that. What foods have the dye everything processed, basically, especially those catered to kids, have that blue in it. So you just want to be mindful. Again, it still does the same thing. It's been contributed, well, I said that, to the hyperactivity. So research studies suggest that a mixture of these food dyes, including the blue, can exacerbate your anxiety. For instance, in a widely studied, so this was a study done in 2007, showed that they linked food dyes to hyperactivity. They were able to, yes, this is what's happening. So what do? Yeah, we ain't doing this no more. We're not using it no more. See, they don't go, one of the things that I noticed, and I said this at the presentation, is what I find is that what the FDA does is they trick studies into doing it in a way that it is showing that people can eat it. They don't do studies how other countries do that say why it's bad. No, we do these funky testings to say, okay, it's all right because we did XYZ. Because one of the things that we talked about at the book release party, and when I said, is that people were saying, well, wait, how can that ground turkey not be 7% fat? And when we went through it, you'll see that what the FDA does is they add a chemical, they take this sampling, they do this and they do that just to get down to this, oh yeah, now you can eat it and we can lie on the label. But what we're noticing is that we could learn from other countries and how they're eating, and they're like, yeah, we're just not doing it. We're not going to go through that whole process of trying to figure it out. And it's sad because like these dyes are really dangerous and we just keep doing it. And you got to think, anything that doesn't require refrigeration, that kind of makes sense, that if it doesn't require to be refrigerated, then that's why we can able to do it. So again, it's back to the same thing: candies, jelly beans, cotton candy, cereals, snacks, blue flavored popcorn, yogurts, pudding cups, instant drink mixes, Kool-Aid is all the dye colors, medications and supplements, chewing gum, cake, cupcakes. They all use the blue. All of them use the blue. And yeah, we don't want to do that. So a study, I found an American study. How about that? Study on from the American Academy of Pediatrics. This is what they say, which is astonishing to me. In response to accumulating evidence that American Academy of Pediatrics suggests that some children with ADHD may benefit from a diet free of artificial colors. Really? The AAP has acknowledged that removing the artificial dyes may help reduce symptoms of hyperactivity, particularly in children who are sensitive to these substances. Parental reports, many parents have followed these guidelines and significantly saw improvements, including better focus, reduced irritability, and a decrease in hyperactivity. Adult sensitivity, most students focus on children, but some adults with ADHD and behavioral concerns have also noted improvements in the cognitive function. How is it that an organization this big gives this recommendation and we don't say we need to take charge of this? And I tell everybody too, because I'm telling you this about, because you guys have, some of you have grandkids, you know, and sometimes this information needs to be passed down, you know, to, so that we can stop it. And also for ourselves too. So when we look at, like, for instance, when we see like why other countries don't use these dyes. Well, number one, the other countries don't use them because they have stricter regulations on what they feed their people. And their focus is on a healthier lifestyle. That their focus is not on, oh, money, let's make this product accessible. In countries like the UK and parts of Europe, there's a greater focus on limiting the use of artificial foods and public health and policy. The consumers are pressuring companies to find other ways. We're not doing that. This has resulted in cleaner labels, fewer artificial additives, and food products and sold in some regions. To be honest with you, this was one of the reasons why Breyer ice cream was so famous. Breyer ice cream, you could look at it and it was very minimal on their ingredients, and people were starting to be conscious of just something as simple as their ice creams, you know? So we want to make sure that we're looking at food labels. So you want to check the ingredients list. And if you see food dyes like red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, and blue 1, you just may want to avoid those altogether and just look at alternatives for that. Now, this might sound a little weird, but like if you like grape jelly or if you like certain jellies, you can make them. I don't know if you want to do that, but you can make them. To be honest with you, there's not one food you can't make. Like, I'm talking about on the natural sense, right? Like, you can make ketchup, you can make mustard, you can make mayo, like you can make salad dressing, but you don't want to do that because our salad dressing book is coming out. But you want to do these things and make healthier versions so that you're not dependent on the stuff that has the food color in it. So you want to avoid that. So obviously avoid anything boxed if you can. Cereals, stuff like that, boxed candy, soda, all those things. So there's like natural, but you know what the problem comes into play is that where people have difficulty is the problem really is in cost. I think the unfortunate thing is that when we choose to go natural, our idea of natural is it's twice as much, but then we have to start to try to figure out, well, how much is it worth to our health, right? So just something to think about for sure. So here are the top 3 foods that can impact your mental health. We know we've already talked about the sugary foods and drinks. Consuming foods high in refined sugars can lead to quick spikes in blood sugar levels, followed by rapid drops, which can result in mood swings, irritability, and fatigue over time. High processed foods like fast food, packaged snacks, they can put us in a depressive state, especially when consumed regularly. And then alcohol, you know, it's a lot of people like, oh, you know, I'll drink wine. And actually, while alcohol may initially provide a sense of relaxation, it is actually a depressant, and that can negatively affect the nervous system after a while. Over time, heavy and regular drinking can lead to mood disturbances, increased anxiety, and a greater risk of developing depression. Now, a lot of times what I've had people say, well, you know, can I drink wine? You know, can I drink wine? So at the book release party, I don't know if anybody had the non-alcoholic wine that was there. There's some good brands that make non-alcoholic wine if you like the taste and want the taste of wine and also get the antioxidant benefits. If the only wines that really give you the benefit would be a Merlot or the deeper, the Burgundy, that will give you those antioxidants that people look for in that. But if you find yourself in a position
Or
where,
drinking a shot.
yeah, like 8 ounces of it is fine. But my thing is, that's if you could do that. If anybody's a wine drinker, they know the reds can be very tart. Like I can't, like, I don't like that tartness, but I like the non-alcoholic wines. I only get them when we do an event. It's not something, I believe it or not, this probably be really bad, but I'm actually allergic to all alcohol. And I actually found that out the worst way you could is I'm out, I have a drink, and I break out in really bad hives. So I cannot, for some reason, I even went to the doctor. The first thing the doctor said to me is, "Oh my God, I feel so sorry for you because I can't drink." And come to find out, the reason I cannot drink is because my liver lacks the enzyme that can actually break down alcohol when you drink it. So what happens is my body sees it as a foreign, like to destroy me. So the hives just come out everywhere. And it doesn't matter what I drink. It could be red wine, white wine, it could be tequila, you name it. I tried. It's vodka. I can't do any of it. I don't drink anyway, but like when I was like trying to figure out if I could drink, it destroyed me. So yeah, I don't drink, but if you want to drink, try the non-alcoholic wines. So what can make us happy? We've had enough negative stuff. What can make us happy? So let's look at eating with colors. So red foods like tomatoes, strawberries, red apples, and red peppers, these are great. These are great to eat in the morning. They're rich in antioxidants. They stimulate energy. They increase your heart rate. Your alertness is heightened. It's excitement. And what you notice, if you look at, red is often used in restaurant branding to stimulate appetite and attract attention. Let me tell you, go into many of the Asian buffets and you will see red. You will see a lot of red sometimes because it stimulates the brain to build up an appetite. There are certain colors that restaurants won't use because supposedly mentally it puts you in a different state of mind. But let's just focus on the more positive side of it and eat in a way. If you want to eat color-wise, I'm going to show you each color. Tomatoes, strawberries, red apples, red peppers. Red apples are like apple is one of the best foods. An apple was actually by the World Health Organization was voted as the #1 healthiest food in the world, an apple. Because an apple is actually a complete whole food. It has the proper amount of fiber, carbohydrate, fat, and sugar. But it's a natural sugar. It's not a sugar that's going to spike you and you have a terrible crash. So I always say, if you are ever in a craving or I tell people don't eat after 7, but as you're transitioning over to losing weight or whatever, the best snack under the planet is an apple and some natural peanut butter, not no Skippy.
Well, they keeps it dark.
Yeah, no Skippy. Don't be like dipping into you have to get natural peanut butter. What that does is that it'll satisfy your salty and sweet taste at the same time, and you'll be fine. Also, if you ever find yourself in a position where you're really, really craving something sweet, here's a little trick. Take a spoon and get about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. I'm talking about get a nice heap of it and just sit it on your tongue and just watch TV, just eating that, and your craving and everything will go away. It does something to kind of trick you to look the other way. And your orange and yellow foods, oranges, carrots, bananas, yellow peppers, and pumpkins. These foods are extremely high in vitamin C and A, which are important for your immune health, eye health. They also are bright colors that often associate with happiness and vitality, which might possibly enhance your mood. So you want to incorporate colors. And of course, green foods, leafy greens, broccoli, green apples, kiwi. Green foods are loaded with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. beneficial for overall health, particularly enhancing the digestive system and supporting immune function. Green is also associated with calmness and relaxation. Green suggests health and freshness and commonly used to promote healthy eating habits. So what I love about the green too, and you see how it says fiber, these types of food are excellent to help with hunger because the fiber is what you need to combat that hunger feeling. And here's your blue and purple foods: blueberries, purple grapes, eggplants, plums. Foods of these colors are rich in antioxidants called anthocyanins. Look, I can't even pronounce that. Which may help reduce inflammation and lower your risk of heart disease and stroke. These foods are often associated with to reduce anxiety and a sense of well-being. Blue, while less common in natural foods, is thought to suppress appetites and is rarely used in fast food branding. Isn't that funny? Like fast food. Yeah, I don't know any fast food place that uses blue. The other thing with the grapes is that skin, besides the fiber, is so good for you. Especially, there are seasonal grapes. I don't know if anybody has ever had like the wine grapes that come out seasonable. They taste amazing. They're only seasonal. I do know like some of like the Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and what's that place that we go get fruit and vegetables from?
Sprouts.
No, well, Sprouts would have it. Those places have those grapes. They only come out seasonal and they taste them. Produce Junction, and they only come out seasonal. So your white and brown foods, I say limit these, but so much on the potato side or whatever, because they are a carbohydrate. But potatoes, cauliflower, mushroom, whole grains, and nuts, these foods can vary widely in the nutrient content. However, many are high in, here you go, fiber, potassium, and phytochemicals. This is not a bad chemical. Let me tell you what this chemical is. It is a chemical that is produced within the plant. So when it produces that, when you consume it, it protects your cells from damage caused by environmental toxins and the body's natural chemical metabolic process. So when you eat these type of foods like a mushroom, whole grain, cauliflower, potato, they have that phytochemicals in them that help protect the cells. And I never knew this until I started researching this. The color white can evoke a sense of simplicity and purity, which can be calming. White, brown, while brown foods, especially whole grains and nuts, are associated with comfort. That is sometimes a person's go-to for a snack is nuts. Be careful in eating an enormous amount of those type of snacks. They can cause constipation. They can be hard on the stomach. I am not a person that can eat a lot of nuts in that way. So how can we improve our mood? For happiness, here, you'll like this. These are the foods you can eat to help, boost your mood up. For happiness, dark chocolate, berries, bananas, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish. And what we mean by fatty fish is the salmon, because of the omegas, in that to beat stress and anxiety. Whole grains, a great leafy green salad with avocados, yogurt, and herbal teas like chamomile. To beat sadness and depression, we go back to the salmon, walnuts, flax seeds, leafy greens, and legumes. They all help with the metabolic chemical that would, I'm not sure, I didn't see that. To beat fatigue and low energy, whole grains, lean proteins. And you remember when we talk about lean proteins, we were talking about ground turkey breast, not ground turkey. Be careful of red meats. A lot of the red meats, even though they say lean, they are between 52 and 68% fat. So you want to watch out or limit your, you kind of should limit your red meat anyway, because it's so hard to digest. So, eggs, nuts, and seeds, and B12. Everyone should be taking B12 every day. If you find yourself tired all the time, your B12 is bad. So take B12 every day. To beat irritability and anger, I didn't know this, but oatmeal, whole grains, food rich in vitamin C, like oranges and strawberries. So the next time you're pissed off, go grab an orange. See if that'll help you, and some strawberries, and put you in a better mood. To enhance calmness and relaxation, of course, the herbal teas like chamomile and lavender, dark. And you know what? Because the brain and the stomach works together, I want you to notice something about these two teas. They smell amazing. So when you smell a lavender tea and a chamomile tea, if you notice, those are the two teas that are also suggested for sleep. These teas definitely give a relaxation to the brain and the stomach, and it just all works in one. Because when you're smelling it, you just kind of can chill out for a minute. So these two teas, even though they're highly recommended at night, you can actually eat them anytime, like drink them anytime. They're not going to knock you out. Like there's no melatonin in those teas. So dark leafy greens, almonds, and food rich in magnesium. I am such a fan of magnesium. Many of us, pretty much the studies I've read, 80% of Americans their magnesium levels are jacked up. And it's not something that we know about because there's so many different types of magnesium. So for us that are out here, there's a magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is so great to take at night. This helps with inflammation. It helps with sleep. It helps with if you're suffering from like acid reflux or anything with stomach problems. Because if you look, if you look at Tums is magnesium. If you just look at the bottle of Tums, you'll see that magnesium is a big portion of what it's made out of is the magnesium. So I highly suggest it. And if you are experiencing, again, this is not to be a replacement of medicine. So don't take what I'm telling you and say, oh, when I talked to T, she said, do this. No. You need to talk to your doctor before you make any changes or anything. I'm just giving you what research has showed. Magnesium tarlate. I've seen magnesium tarlate actually help with blood pressure. I've seen it on that realm. So to improve your sleep, we talk about the magnesium glycinate, tryptophan and melatonin found in certain foods, turkey and cherries. So most of the people be like, after they eat Thanksgiving dinner, they talking about they get the itis. And when you actually don't, it is nothing more than a chemical reaction to your turkey. And the turkey is knocking you out. And plus the extra serving of sweet potato pie, and the extra serving of mac and cheese and all of that, and the tiny serving of greens that's on the side. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has ever tried this, but sleep has a huge percentage to deal with your mental health. So you want to make sure you are getting some great sleep. So to improve your sleep, also, I don't know if anyone's ever tried this. I just talked about the magnesium glycinate, but tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice has actually been known to knock people out. They say, take this at night and drink 8 ounces of this at night and you will be knocked out. I can't take the taste. It was a little bit too tart for me. I do know I did see that Trader Joe's sells it, Whole Foods sells it. I actually think you can buy it off of Amazon as well. It has to be 100% tart cherry juice. Don't be getting that juice that got a little something else in it thinking do not do that. So that's not tart, like it has to be tart cherry juice. So you want to just kind of use some of these things. Nutrient deficiencies like vitamin D, zinc, and omega-3 fatty acids have been linked to an increased risk of depression. Vitamin D, our vitamin D levels are another level that most people do not get checked out, especially women. Please start getting your vitamin D levels checked, because what you'll find is that your levels start to decrease significantly as you get older, and some doctors won't test for it unless you ask. And if you find yourself in a position where you're having a hard time to lose weight, It actually could be your vitamin D. Vitamin D assists in weight loss. And you should be taking a high IU of vitamin D a day, once a day. Could be a little harsh on stomach, so you might want to take it right after breakfast. But definitely should be taking vitamin D, B12, and folic acid. You should be taking those no matter how old you are. There's a lot of women out here, to be honest with you, that actually still take prenatal vitamins that are in their 50s and 60s because of the high potency of the vitamins that's in it. And you know, because most vitamins we basically urinate what we don't use in those vitamins. So I don't go that far and take a prenatal, but I would definitely suggest you do the vitamin D. So diets rich in whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins are associated with lower rates of mental health disorders compared to diets high in processed foods. So when we say a whole food, just understand when we say whole food, what we mean by whole food is that the meal that you're eating or what you're eating should have a fiber, a carb, a protein. What did I miss? Fiber, carb, protein. Right? Fiber, carb, and protein. Why do I feel like I'm missing one? Fiber, carb, and protein. Yeah. It has to be a whole. Why do I feel like I'm missing one?
I think you're missing one.
I think I'm actually missing one. I just drew a blank. Oh, fat. Duh. It has to have the right amount of fat, fiber, protein, and carb. That is a whole food. So when you're looking at your plate, if you see that one of those nutrients is missing, that could be associated with why you could possibly be gaining weight or not losing weight at all. And if you are going to eat like a carb, when we say like a small amount of carb, like a rice, a potato, or something, the way in which you should do that is you should eat your there's actually an order of the way for you to eat fiber, protein, fat, carb. Eat your carb last. And that will help with the digestive process for sure. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to scan out of here, come out of this so we can have a little chitty chat.
Chat.
Not a chat and chew, just a chat.
Chat.
Let me just come out of here.
That's pretty good, man.
I hope so. Okay. So, wait a minute. Somebody, I just want to read the comments, what people saying. I love my blue now. The goal is to get to, their goal is to get to yes. Real snack, apples, and Sprouts has tart. Okay. Oh, thanks, Dawn. Sprouts has tart cherry juice. What is the purpose of all the dyes used, especially if you can make it without it? It's honestly attraction. So a lot of these companies use the dye. They just use it to like attract kids, attract people, to make things look more attractive and more fun. There's no health benefit to them using it at all. They just use it because. And you can research that and you'll see that that's why they use it. So anybody have any questions for me?
You said someone can you suggested probiotic.
Yeah, I can't say off my head, but there are ones that you want with 90 billion and plus but I also like the ones that are pre and pro, because there are some probiotics that don't have the prebiotic. And you will want a complete pre and pro. And they say it on there. And you can Google, well, go to Amazon and you can find those particular brands there. Because you eat with your eyes first. Oh, Deborah said you eat with your eyes first. That's the problem, right? Our eyes are bigger than our stomachs. And that's what places them in a position where we overeat sometimes, because we just fill that plate up, and sometimes they say it's best if you actually eat off of the smaller plates, those smaller plates that we have. I use Spring Valley probiotics for women. Oh, okay. And Walmart. And I always say, look at the reviews and look at what type of studies was done on those type of pre and probiotics. Because I will say this, I say this to anybody, cheaper doesn't always mean better. So sometimes it is into your best interest to buy a good pre and probiotic that has great reviews, lots of studies on it, and you know what I mean? Like you kind of want to,
We're buying expensive doesn't mean it's good either.
right? But that's why I say you got to look at the reviews of that for sure. When can you buy? Where can you buy ground turkey breast? Any supermarket has, and it'll say it on it. It'll say ground turkey breast. That's why you got to look out for it, because we are so quick. We see ground turkey and we just grab it. You want to make sure you do ground turkey breast. And I will give you guys the fat formula so that you can use it for all of your food purchasing. So what you want to do is take the grams of fat times that by 9, and then divide it by the number of calories. So I'll say it one more time. You want to take the grams of fat, times it by 9, and then divide it by the number of calories. That is going to give you the actual percentage of fat that is whatever that product is. So don't always go by what the front says. Just take 2 seconds, do your fat calculation, and it will tell you how much fat it was in. Because we saw at the book release party that the front says 7%, but it was actually something crazy, right? So it was right, it was 49% fat. So you want to eat in 20%. Your fat calculations, every meal should be in the 20% mark. And you want to be able to be in a position where, and I'm not just talking about one item on a plate. I'm talking about your meal, your entire meal should be about 20%. And from looking, you got to think, you're the one that knows how active you are or not. You're the one that knows how you move and don't move. So you have to understand something. This is why I say 1,500 calorie diets don't always work for everybody, because the situation is that when we look at 1,500 calories, not everybody can burn 500 calories per meal. Some people can burn more, some people burn less, depending on their activity level. That's why I say you got to book a free consultation with me, because I will take you through that process of finding out what your calories are or aren't, what you can and cannot eat, what you can and cannot do based off of your existing lifestyle. That's why it's called Weight Loss Is Not Cookie Cutter, because every people out, this is what they do. Here's 1,500 calories. Oh, do this, see you in 30 days. And then you're supposed to figure that out. It does not work that way. It doesn't, it is not a successful way of looking at diet.
Not like a life.
My primary care physician says we don't need vitamins and supplements if we are eating what we're supposed to eat. What are your thoughts? So I'm going to agree with this to a certain extent, and I'm going to say why. Because most of us have to get there, right? And supplements, but I just want you to understand, supplement is exactly that, a supplement. It is not to be taken as something to substitute. That's the difference. We use the word supplement as substitute. And where I got certified at the National Association of Sports Medicine, what I find to be astonishing of what they tell their athletes is that as a nutritional coach, we are to encourage people, like what was said there, is to get your nutrients from your foods naturally. But the issue is, when you're dealing with an epidemic of most Americans being vitamin D deficient, we have to supplement that vitamin D. So we have to take a vitamin D supplement every day. And we've got to make sure we monitor. It's the same thing with B12. Yeah, I can tell you, yes, make sure you're taking a B12, but eat these type of things to increase your B12. There are foods. That's why we want to eat from a whole food perspective. But I just say to people that make sure, because I tell you something that's really interesting, just on that level. What they say is like, we are so sometimes stuck on protein shakes, right? Oh God, you got to get a protein shake. I want you to understand protein shakes are a supplement. They are not to be drank 3-4 a day. They are once a day. There's some amino acids and BCAAs that you could throw in there that would kind of help that process. But here's the thing. These are for people that are going to the gym, lifting the weights consistently in the gym and so forth. So protein shakes, I'm not sure why you would take a protein shake if you're not a regular gym person, when you can just eat your protein on a daily basis, because your protein intake wouldn't be like what's required of people that like we go to the gym and lift weights. I have to get 120 to 140 grams of protein a day. That's not normal people. Normal, maybe 60 to 70 grams. And you got to understand something, over 20 grams per meal, your body's not going to break it down. Like I see it, it gets me angry. I gotta like start getting this stuff out there. Like I'm watching people on TikTok, these TikTok gurus that are out there saying, oh, I'm gonna show you how to get a shake in that's got 80 grams of protein. Go ahead and do that and see what happens to your stomach. Watch your stomach blow up like a hot potato, because that is not for everybody. You cannot, the body cannot always, unless you are a bodybuilder, cannot break down 80, 90 grams of protein. It's not going to do it. You got to work your way up to that. So,
That kind of activity.
oh, thanks. You said that makes sense. Any other questions, guys? Concerns? Not everybody quiet. I ain't hear nobody's voice. Nobody said nothing.
You might have to come back and do this one class again.
No, well, next month. I know a lot of people had Bible study, the Bible training course. So I might have to move it to a Wednesday if Wednesday works better for people. But if you missed the announcement, all your classes are going to be free. There's not going to be any charge for these classes going forward. If you want to book with me, you can go to weightlossisnotcookiecutter.com and you can book your free consultation so that we can get this started. And I tell people all the time, what's on there is couples weight loss, mommy me, daddy me weight loss, group, like if there's a group of women out there that want to get together and do a weight loss, that I do group, you know, assessments and stuff like that. I'll come out and talk to your group and all that kind of stuff. But the only way to get started is to get started, right? And to start setting some things up. I've just been starting to book and start to see people. And I ask some tough questions, you know, sometimes, and I'll leave this with you for you to think about this too. I always say, you know, at my highest weight, I was 350 pounds. That was the highest I've ever, almost 360, was the highest I had ever been. And I lost 100 just from walking. So I tell people that, you know, sometimes walking is where you get things started. But if you're not ready to be consistent in anything, do not start anything. If you're not going to be consistent, just take it as this is just not your time right now. And that's okay, because it's a lifestyle change. I'm not trying to put people on diets. I just want people to make a lifestyle change. If you're going through it, because there's a lot of people out there that are actually not overweight, but are metabolically unhealthy. And if you know what I mean by that, meaning that you're not overweight, but you have high cholesterol, you have high blood pressure, your A1C is jacked up. That is a person that's metabolically unhealthy. That requires me to do a whole nother jack of, you know, assessment on you. I do an assessment for people that have illnesses. If you go to the website, you can book where I will take all your illnesses and tell you what you're not supposed to be eating. And the medications. I do the same thing. If you just kind of want to see where you at, I take all your medicines and I do an assessment on all your medications and what you should and should not be eating on those medications. Because a lot of times what people will find is that if they are taking medications for certain illnesses, the foods you're eating are counterproductive.
Yes.
They're actually making you sicker because you're not eating the right things associated with what you should be on the medications or the illnesses that you have. It could be exacerbating things, especially arthritis. If anybody's out there experiencing arthritis, dairy is your devil. Dairy will be your cheeses, milks, all that kind of stuff will be the worst thing ever for anybody. And inflammation. If you feel yourself in a situation, I'm definitely going to do a whole class on inflammation because people don't know what really inflammation is. There's two types. You can get inflamed from just going for a walk. That's temporary, but you can have something called chronic inflammation. And that's a whole nother bag of bones that there's certain foods and things you could do to actually manage that. Can you repeat what we need in a no, you said it. You actually need a pre and probiotic. Whatever you buy, it should say both. And when you could go to Amazon and say pre and probiotic, and they'll give you a slew of them. Read the reviews, and also just make sure it has no GMOs. Make sure it's like an all natural one. That's why I say sometimes cheaper is not always better. So, I always say if you're going to start using supplements, use supplements that are not cheap. Like, I'm not saying buy the most expensive one. I'm just saying don't put it in there. Oh, this one's $6 and that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes it's not beneficial to you. So look at it as an investment in self. Like if you're going to buy supplements, buy the best. Don't buy the cheap. You're the one eat. It's for you.
Right.
Don't treat you in a cheap way.
You don't buy
for
cheap shoes.
Right. So I definitely don't suggest you skimp on supplements at all. Like I think you should research them. I can make some suggestions because like there's a protein that we just found out that's monohydrate. A protein that says monohydrate is and it has to be whey, which let me tell you the issue with whey protein. If you are dairy sensitive, it is not going to be the best protein for you. If you have a dairy issue, even if you use a almond milk or something like that. Again, not a fan of almond milk because almond milk is extremely high in fat. Even an unsweetened almond milk is 49% fat. Best milk,
not good fat.
It's not a good fat. So the best milk, if you have to get one, is oat milk. The problem with an unsweetened oat milk is it might teeter on a little bit higher in the carb, but it's okay because the fat, you got to think I always tell people because I'm seeing on TikTok what's floating around now is a carnivore diet. These quick fix diets are popping up. Hyperketosis diet, the carnivore diet. First of all, the carnivore diet is so high in fat. Like you got to understand something. If you're trying to lose fat and you eating 60 to 70% fat, I'm not sure what you think gonna happen.
And don't exercise. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, like the hyperketosis diet, for some reason, I even reached out to him, which I found to be, what are your thoughts on lactate milk? Read the fat content and use the fat formula on it. I believe the lactate milk is really high in fat as well.
I think we did that.
I think we did. Like, I think I did all the milks, and I think lactate milk was I can even look real quick.
I think it was.
Let me just look real quick. I'll do the fat formula for you on the lactate. Can you pull it up on your phone? Just pull up lactate milk. Are you looking for unsweetened or sweetened? Just go to your internet. But what I was going to say is, these fad diets, just be mindful. That's what they are. They're temporary. You will, yeah. But lactate milk, right? It's called lactate milk, nutrition. Just space nutrition. Any other questions? Because I'm gonna do the fat thing on here for you. Let's see. Are you talking about sweet? Oh, she said unsweetened. Okay, let's see.
See how you type fast.
let's see if anybody's interested in it. Let's see anybody want to take a guess without looking at cheating? Okay, so here it is. Oh, I can't see that. It don't look too bad. Hold on. I'll tell you what it is. Don't look too bad. 9, 2.5.
It's just delicious and easy to digest.
It's right at the cusp of 21% fat. So that's not bad. But you got to understand, this is the one that's unsweetened. So be careful, because on the flip side to it, it's got 13 grams of sugar in 1 cup versus your oat milk, and it's not going to have that.
So if you're not
So,
active and doing exercise, that sugar's gonna kick.
yeah, you got to be mindful. So if you're trying to do a low carb way, I would say, what is the name of the glucose monitor? Kathy was asking me. So Kathy, the glucose monitor that I use is called a Libre 3. I use the 3. The 3 is thinner and it's smaller. So if you are diabetic and you have health benefits, the insurance should cover it. But if you are not diabetic and you do have insurance, some will still cover a portion of it. I have to pay $75 a month for mine. I don't think it's a bad investment for what it's doing for you. And there are some people, to be honest with you, Kathy, there are some people that once they go on that monitor, they start to lose weight. Because what's happening is that the reason I love a Libre 3, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to pre-scan before you eat. It will show you all day, after you eat and so forth. And what you want to look for is that if you decide, I love the monitors. I'm literally reaching out to Dexcom to see if I can get an affiliate link so that my clients can have one. Because Dexcom is one of the ones that you don't require a prescription, but it's a little bit more pricier. So, but the reason I'm saying they're so great is because what I find that, number one, it makes you conscious, right? Because you now don't want to see spikes. You want to be in this position. I don't think, let me see if I can pull up mine and just show y'all. It might not show anything because I haven't put a new one on. No, it's not going to show.
Is there something you have to switch like every month, or you just leave it and you're paying for the subscription?
It's a prescription, so your doctor will actually issue you a prescription, and
No, I mean subscription, like the subscription.
No,
Like,
it's an app. It's an app on
Oh.
your phone, and it's called Libre 3. And what it'll do is, it didn't hurt me. Like, some people are sensitive because you gotta think it's a needle going into your skin. That it just monitors all day long. And you actually have to be careful where you're putting it. If you're a side sleeper, don't put it on the arm that you sleep on. I found that out the hard way, and here I am getting stabbed. Like, you'll literally, because you're laying on it, you'll feel this nail go in. A lot of times people put it back here. They'll put it back here. It has to kind of be on the fatty part of the arm so that it gets a good reading. But the thing that I love about it is that if you set it at not going above 120, you will maintain a good eating habit. And as but to test food, it is amazing to test food, because what'll happen is, what I found out is that when I finally found the right person, I found out that I was insulin resistant and I'm not diabetic. What was happening is that I was eating things that were actually healthy, but my sugar was spiking, even though it was a healthy. You gotta think, it's still a carbohydrate. So it doesn't, even though it's not sugar, you gotta think a carbohydrate can still make you spike. So the good stuff that I was getting was still making me spike. So when we were adjusting, I was finding out what I could eat. But what you'll see is that if you even are eating something good and you get this spike and it's taking your body forever to come back down, you are insulin resistant.
Mhm.
So what that means is that you got to not only make some dietary changes, but here's the big difference between what kind of like the doctors say versus what is actually out there. Because at the National Association of Sports Medicine, guess what they say? They say insulin resistance is actually fixable.
Right. Yeah.
But a doctor will say, nah, it's not. Like, you got to deal with it or whatever. And the way you fix it, believe it or not, is weight training. Because what happens is that as you lift weights and you get strength training in 2 to 3, personally, I would say 4 to 5 if you can. What you're going to see is your body is not only going to recomposition itself, you may not see the scale change. Like I tell people, stay away from the scale, get a tape measure.
Yes.
Because my book that the tracker is coming out in the next couple weeks, I show you how to measure yourself and keep track of your measurements and see the recomposition of your body from lifting weights. And what happens is as you're doing that, your insulin receptors are being repaired. And what you're going to see is that even because I tell people all the time, my goal for everyone is lifestyle, right? If you want to go out with your friends to the Cheesecake Factory and have a slice of cheesecake, go ahead. I don't want people to be in a restrictive way of where they've made these changes and they can't go out and enjoy food. Like, I don't want that. I just try to show people how, number one, manage your house, right? Don't put the stuff in your house. If you like me, I have zero self-control. If it's there, I'm gonna eat it. Point blank. And it's also, I tell people, I said it in the book. You'll see in the first couple pages, I'd make people take an honesty pledge. We have to be honest with ourselves when it comes down to our diet and nutrition of what we're doing. Because look, we didn't get where we are from eating trees and broccoli, right? And being kumbaya. No, we ate it. We got where we are because we ate wrong. For most of us. I'm not saying everybody. Some people have experienced whether it's steroids or, medical issues that have caused people to gain weight. There are some medical issues that have happened, but for the huge majority of us, it's because we just had one too many tasty cakes, like straight up. I was a cheesesteak eater. So that's just it. So it's like understanding what we are capable of and understanding that when we go out, if we choose to eat a cheeseburger, some fries, understand it stays out there. But what you'll see happens is that as you do more and you see that your body's recompositioning, you see that your glucose is showing at you 98, 99%, and you get addicted to it being steady, you won't eat that stuff out there.
Yeah.
I tell you, God is my witness.
Discipline.
I gained weight from taking off my monitor. Straight up. I'm being very honest. If I would still had it that on, I wouldn't have put on weight. It is kind of like your own personal accountability partner, per se. It allows you just to see. And look, we hear all the time, even in church, right, about discipline. Well, that discipline also has to come from the perspective of our eating. And we've got to get control of it, but we have to understand, what does that look like? So for sure. Any other questions on that? They now have a Libre 3 Plus. Yeah, that's what, Celine, that's what I wear. Mine is 15-day. So it costs me $75 a month. I get two. Yeah, we get two.
I used to get them.
Yeah, I get them and it costs me $75 because literally just to show you how the medical field works, this is what they sent me. They sent me a letter and said, hey, you don't have diabetes, so we're not paying for that.
No.
Right? So they won't give you preventative help. Now, if I had diabetes, they would have paid for it.
Free.
They would have paid 100%. But because I'm not diabetic, because my A1C is normal, my A1C is really good at 4.2.
It just discounts.
My cholesterol is great. So I'm what they call, this will make you laugh because it's actually in my book. I am metabolically obese. My
Say-
metabolic health is amazing, but my weight is still in obese category. So it's a little difficult. They say they're still trying to study it because they're finding out, they want to know like why people like us are heavy when we're metabolically healthy. So when you look at, I can't hear you, Dory, if you're saying something. I can't hear you.
No, actually, I was co-signing. I was saying to Terrence, I'm the same way. I never had a problem with my cholesterol. I was close to 300 pounds and my
Okay.
cholesterol was great.
See?
And sugar, never
Right.
had sugar, glucose. My fasting glucose is always 70.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, and if you do get the glucose monitor, so some things about the Libre, what it also does is it'll also alert you if you get too low. So be aware that it could wake you up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because you got to think your glucose levels drop significantly in your sleep and you don't realize it. But this does because it monitors you 24 hours a day. It's fine. If you're not diabetic, it's not nothing for you to be alarmed about. If you're diabetic, you should be alarmed, but not if you're not diabetic. And sometimes you'll see that that'll change. So if you want to know like a fat burning glucose level is between 80 and 90. So if you see that your glucose is reading at an 80 or 90, you're in a fat burning mode. And sometimes people can stay like that all day based off of what they eat and how they eat and their exercise and stuff like that. So it's doable. But you want to be mindful. Again, this is something you have to talk to your doctor about, especially if you're diabetic. These may not be healthy levels for somebody that's diabetic.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different for sure.
Cookie cutter.
So what about because we talk about sugar, but what about the fruit sugar? Because banana is a yellow colored food,
Mm-hmm.
but they always say like it's high in sugar,
It is
but
very
it's good for potassium.
right. It's so there's other foods that actually have potassium in it. Kale. There's quite a few other foods that have potassium in it. I stay away from bananas because I just find it too high. Now I have used a half of banana you could try this. I've made a vanilla protein shake with kale and a half a banana and a little vanilla extract and cinnamon. Yeah, it's probably like the best thing I've ever tasted, and it did nothing to spike my sugar.
It's a different type of sugar.
Right. Well,
Cinnamon,
but
for sure.
but fair warning, everybody's sugar works different.
Mhm.
So that's why I go back to strength training. If a banana, just hypothetical, if a banana is something you want to enjoy, right? What you'll see is that the more strength training you'll do, your body's receptors to a whole banana may not even move because you've built up those receptors
And
that the
it's fuel.
insulin is not resisting it.
Right.
The insulin is like, oh, it's cool. It's a natural, right? You're not doing tablespoons upon tablespoons of sugar or whatever. You're actually getting a fruit from a fruit, but it can spike, right? So you like your strawberries, your blueberries, stuff like that won't spike.
But they'll use that sugar if you weight training for fuel.
Right, but from a fruit. But
From a
that
fruit.
would be great for a pre-workout.
Yeah. Eat a
A
banana before.
pre-shake for your workout.
Yeah.
For sure.
It'll fuel
I love bananas.
you too. You know, I hate it too.
I like it with natural peanut butter. Now you do that. Now I'll tell you another trick. I don't know if you want to do this, but I'll let you in some secrets. Take unsweetened green tea. Gotta be unsweetened green tea with a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I don't know if you can tolerate it, but try it. If you do that before a carbohydrated meal, it has been shown to decrease your glucose spike significantly. but you got to do it before. Now, I don't mind the taste of it. Me, I love it. Like I can drink it with no problem. But again, you got to be mindful of a couple things. If you have GERD or acid reflux, apple cider vinegar may not be for you. It could really disturb anything you got going on. But that magnesium would help
To calm it down.
with that. So, but if you want some little tricks of the trade when it comes down to wanting to like eat a banana with some natural peanut butter, I suggest taking a little bit of the apple cider vinegar first. Any final messages? I'll be going in a minute. Nope, that was it. I'm done. If anybody got any other questions, make sure y'all reach out. I can put my email in here. If you want to email me, well, it's just weight loss is not cookie cutter. Weight loss is not cookie cutter at gmail.com. If you want to set up your free consultation so we can get things started. In next month's class, get your ladies. Let's get this class big next month. It's going to be on PCOS and menopause. It's going to be on both and food.
You're gonna do something on men, so too.
Right. Well, only man we got here tonight was James. But I see we need to do a specific men's class, and we definitely could do that. And then it'll just be you and James. Oh,
Don't forget my brother.
I didn't know you was there. You just popping in. Oh, he was sitting
He
there.
was sitting there. He was here.
Oh, he was here. Got you. Love y'all. Anything else, guys, before we go? I hope you enjoyed the class. Let me know.
I have
This
one
was
question.
great.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I have a question real quick.
Uh-huh.
Debbie, you said that if you have arthritis, dairy is the worst.
Yeah.
What do you suggest for a substitution?
There is no substitution. Don't do dairy.
He said, "What is this?"
Dairy, I'm sorry, there's not, I mean, are you saying like as far as cheeses? Are you talking about like cheeses and milk? I can't hear you, Deborah. You're on mute.
Cheeses, milks, that kind of thing.
So you gotta understand oat milks, anything of oat milk or almond, that is actually not dairy. Okay, so that's not dairy. That was a misconception. Cheeses, girl, bye. They're done.
They the worst.
You could try vegan cheese. I had to be real honest. That's the nastiest thing I ever had in my life. I can't do it. I tried a vegan cheese. Some people might like it. There's, vegan substitute. There's cashew cheeses, stuff like that. That's why I always say you got to understand some cheese is extremely high in fat. So it's like picking your battles. But if you need more research on arthritis, I could do that for you. I just know, especially rheumatoid, stay away from all dairy.
Yeah,
if you got rheumatoid arthritis, like stay from it all. It will inflame you constantly.
Dairy ain't good for nobody.
Well,
Nobody.
yeah. I mean, because I'll sit there and eat cheesy till the cows come home.
Who? You know,
Uh-oh. Why are you pointing at Rob? Why are you pointing at Rob? What is happening? What?
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, the cheese is not your friend at all. Like no dairy at all. No.
Love cheese.
Me too, bro.
And arthritis loves you. No.
Yo, cousins.
So I hope everybody got something out of tonight. I want to thank everybody for my first class. I'm so glad you guys all were here. Look out for those emails for next month. I would love to get as many women on this as possible to have this discussion because I think it's imperative. And also we need to get some of our younger people on next month because PCOS is huge, huge. Celine, you got a question for me? She's got her hand up.
She's clapping.
Oh, love it. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
I was clapping.
Oh, that was... All right, guys. So this class will be on the YouTube channel. Weight Loss is Not Cookie Cutter. Subscribe on YouTube. This will be, I'll make sure I edit this and put this up to the YouTube channel. Make sure you send me those emails so I can book you guys for your free consultation. I had 2 already. I got some more to book for going into November. So hit me up, or you could just go to Weight Loss Is Not Cookie Cutter and you can book your free consultation. It'll take you right to my calendar and you can book it right there. Thank you. Great info. Ray and I will be looking forward to our free consultation. Yes, I got y'all for sure. All right. Love you guys very much. Thank you so much
You
for your
too. Good
participation.
class.
Bye.